And let's go. Welcome back to It's Okay with Jay, guys. How you doing? Lockdown day 13. It's been a few days since I've been on. Gives you a bit of a break from It's Okay with Jay, and gives me some time to catch up with bits and bobs like training and things as such. So yeah, no, hope you guys been okay. What you guys been up to these last couple of days? Give me a shout. Let me know what you guys have been doing to keep busy and what you guys have been doing to keep fit. Have you done any of the recommendations that I've given you? Any of you, those people that have reached out to me and DM'd me, have you been doing the things that I've asked you? Can I get some clips so I can post them out and show everyone else that you guys have been doing it? So yeah, moving on, guys. Today's podcast or show is all about why I decided to kind of do a podcast and what gave me the confidence and the inspiration to kind of want to do it. Because again, I think for me the first thing I thought about was all the expenses and everything that I needed to buy. I haven't got much, and secondly was obviously the fear. You know, the fear of doing a podcast and getting in front of talking in front of people, and whether people are gonna dismiss what you say or are going to be critical or going to troll or things as such. But then what kind of helped me break things down was I think I thought about it and the amount of times I've had to do public speaking in terms of previous jobs for retail management. When I was a manager for Marks and Spencer's, we had to do quite a lot of meetings. Every morning you do a team brief and a meeting in front of all your colleagues and things as such. So, already those were my first few experiences with sort of public speaking and things as such. So I took kind of strength from that. And then I thought, I also do quite a bit of teaching and I teach from children as young as 4 years old. And, I teach adults. So naturally I've got the ability to communicate clearly. That's something I've been doing right in my life, so that's something I can use and bring to this guy. So that kind of gave me the strength to do so. And then what also kind of helped was having certain inspirational figures in terms of podcasters and how they influenced and why they also kind of made me want to do it, because I would never have thought about doing a podcast until I started listening or watching the first few podcasts myself. Sorry. And so I think it's very important for me to talk about my influences and why I can relate or why I love listening to them, and hopefully you guys can tune into some of their stuff. Because again, I'm not trying to promote in terms of for monetary gain or anything like such. Is if someone else can help better than I can help, or you can find a channel through something else, that's what I prefer. So I'm going to make recommendations. These guys have helped me massively and educated me massively. So I'm going to start with the first one. For me, guys, I must listen to or watch podcasts is Joe Rogan. For those of you who are familiar, he's a UFC commentator and presenter, and has done quite a lot of stand-up comedy in the past. Done a bit of TV presenting with the Fear Factor USA back in the day when he had hair, and also done a bit of acting. And but me initially, and is a martial artist. So me initially, I knew about Joe Rogan from the presenting from the Fear Factor and then the UFC, because those were the two things I could. I recognize him from there. Yeah, let's see what this guy's got to say. And through listening to his podcast, obviously began to find out more about his life and who he was in terms of having a martial arts background. Actually fought a few times. That guy's got one of the best spinning back kicks I've seen, close to Shevchenko, my queen. Yeah, and again, he's so diverse, guys. So just because what brought me to him was I recognised him from a TV show. Then I found out that he had a martial arts background, and then he covers UFC. However, his podcasts are not pretty much, if anything, to do with UFC. Very rarely he'll do a segment with some of his pals when there's a massive fight card. If he's not presenting it or commentating on it, he'll do it. But I'll give you some of my examples of the podcasts I've listened to that have intrigued me and opened my eyes so much. Like Mike Tyson off the top of my head. I think he did that a couple months ago. And, you know, from whatever we know of Mike Tyson through the media and etc., and all the newspaper articles and, you know, clips, and yeah, he was the baddest man on the planet. I mean, that guy was knocking out guys for a living, left, right, centre, in the quickest time, youngest champion, you know, broke records, was a beast in and out of the ring. But to get to listen to where he's out now and what journey he's on, and leading on to the fight that he's about to have at the end of this month, and what he's doing with his... So, you know, Mike Tyson's basically now becoming an entrepreneur in the cannabis business in America, which is legal. So he's got his farm going on over there, which is quite successful, you know, from what I've looked into and researched. He's doing really well. So, you know, it gives you an in-depth insight into what he's doing there, into how he thinks. And this is why, again, I love Joe Rogan and his podcast, because he's not afraid to ask those questions. Whereas some people might tread around the athlete or the celebrity that's in front of him, he doesn't hide from any of those questions that needs to be asked. So he can be quite brutal. He has his own opinion, so he's not going to then just agree with you for the sake of, you know, you liking him or etc. But 9 times out of 10, there's never any conflict either on his podcast. They flow so well. And again, Joe Rogan's a guy that openly, you know, will smoke a joint on his show with whoever he's interviewing, and, you know, they just flow and they're just free. So, you know, that's one. He spoke to Elon Musk recently, which, for me, again, I recommend you guys try and watch that, and it's all available on YouTube. Thank God, because again, that's how I've got this opportunity, so you guys can crack on there and have a look. And Elon Musk gives you an insight into what he's doing right now. So the world's in crisis, because again, this is one which is recent in COVID. So shows you what his business and what they're working on. And it's scary, guys. It's almost mind control technology. Now, I'll let you know a little bit in terms of it's a technological revelation and can change the future, can change the world going forward. And again, it's what it's implemented for. And we can go into conspiracy theories and things as such, which I'm always open for. And I love that kind of thing. I am a believer there is conspiracy theories out there. Everyone's got something to hide or cover. But that's a different topic. And in a nutshell, they're working on this chip. So we've all heard about different chips across the world that's coming in for, you know, almost like a passport. Dogs have got them. If you lose your dog, they've got a chip. They can get brought back to you. Tracking chips, things as such. But this is either, it was a good few months ago, I believe it's in your brain. And what happens is they're using it for health at the moment, in the sense of if you suffer from epileptic fits and blackouts and seizures and certain things, addictions and things as such, what happens is before that epileptic fit is about to happen, there's a signal that gets sent from your brain. Now these guys have spent so much time, resources, money researching and developing certain technology that when the brain realizes that's about to happen, sends a signal to this chip which cuts it completely out. So stops the seizure before it even happens, before the impulses even connect, before anything even happens, it just kills it dead. So it was very interesting, guys. And again, if I wasn't listening to these sort of podcasts, I wouldn't really outright know that Elon Musk and his company are working on certain technology. I mean, as far as I was aware, that they're working on a way to try and get to Mars and travel the galaxies and things as such. So guys, have to watch that. If you've got that sort of interest and you love, you are into your conspiracy theories, and it just opens and ask yourself a few questions at the end of that show. So I definitely guarantee you guys listening to that one. Tim Kennedy, another guy that I watched his interview because I could relate to him. And again, Joe Rogan show. He is a former Marine or Green Beret or one of those Secret Service elite that have been part of a squad that have taken down some serious people, you know, like your Bin Ladens, your Saddam Husseins. Like, he's worked in or has been part of throughout his recent career in that sense. And what he does is, that's his real life job. His other job when he's not doing that for the army, the American army, is he's a UFC fighter. So again, that's how I knew of him. So when I heard Tim Kennedy was doing a podcast, I kind of, awesome, let's listen what this guy has to say. And he talks about a recent project that he was doing, which is a documentary stroke series, which is quite old now, it's a few years old, called Hunting Hitler. And again, if I didn't listen to this podcast due to me knowing Tim Kennedy, I wouldn't have known, okay, he's involved in that. Now, what this Hunting Hitler documentary is a group of those former CIA, FBI, Green Berets and all of that have got together based on certain declassified documents that were made available due to the law quite a few years back, to build a case to whether they believe Hitler actually died in his bunker or whether they believe that he had escaped. And they basically started from there. And they built this investigation where they kind of followed a trail and followed him through Europe into South Americas, and followed this kind of journey on a trail to find out whether Hitler died in the bunker or not. So again, I find it really interesting because I didn't know much apart from what you learn in school in terms of history and World War II and World War I and what happened with Germany, what happened with Hitler and the Third Reich. What else do you know? So guys, that was really awesome because again, through that I ended up streaming the 3 or 4 seasons there is of Hunting Hitler, and was an awesome series for me to find. And it's real life. It's none of this made up TV sort of thing. They're following real life evidence, real life trails, declassified documents, things as such, and it's sending them all over across the world. And guys, some of the clues and things that they find are astounding, like absolutely jaw dropping. And it shows you how far that Reich or that Hitler's beliefs and followers and supporters followed him or were supporting him from the shadows. And last one, Graham Hancock, English author, got to big up the English, author, writer, and he's mainly focuses on the ancient civilization, ancient stone monuments, megaliths, ancient history, and he almost follows a journey through his life where he's trying to prove that there was a civilization that existed before what we're being told. So, you know, going back to ancient Sumerians and even referring to biblical terms, biblical terms in certain aspects, and you know, he takes it really deep with all the research and everything that he's done. So I'd never heard of this dude prior to Joe Rogan show, and decided to listen to it, and through that ended up following and reading one of his books, Fingerprints of the Gods, which I recommend, again, another read. So all of this, guys, again, just shows you through one podcast what I got out of all of these different sort of experiences and what I could gain from it and how much my knowledge has broadened. I'm not saying Graham Hancock's right, because again, he's got a lot of people that are debunking him and his theories. But again, it just kind of opens your mind that there could be possibilities apart from what we've been told and what history we've been shown. Because, again, if I have a fight with you and I win the fight and I'm writing the news, I'm going to write in the fight that it was the easiest fight I've ever had in my life. There was no struggle from you whatsoever. Was over and done with quick time, and I was back home ready for another fight. Where in reality, you kicked the crap out of me, you made it difficult, and I caught you with a lucky blow. So, you know, again, this is just how I think of things. Example, I'm not saying, again, this is fact, this is it, this is real, this is what it is. So, again, guys, just, if you get a chance, Joe Rogan, and I believe that there could be a name out there that you could type in Joe Rogan, Kevin Hart, which I know because I've watched it twice, because he's done 2 different ones. Joe Rogan, Jamie Foxx. Joe Rogan, Elon Musk. You know, like, again, I'm telling you guys, try it. If he hasn't, I'm sorry, but there will probably be someone interested, if whether it be a musical or an actor or something along those sort of genres. Guys, I'm sure he's spoken to or been there or done it. So check him out. The second one now I'm going to move on. For me is everyone knows Ariel Helwani. Sorry, I had to say that because like him, like me, we've got that nose. You know, that nose, that distinctive nose. But Ariel Helwani, MMA journalist from Canada. And I just love this guy because he's been through quite a journey, through many years of journalism in MMA, from, you know, the, as we say in England, the lower leagues of football, you know, the marsh pits, and like same for him, from the lower leagues of the fighting game to the elite, the UFC, to covering every fighting organization, to having built himself and having had obstacles. So throughout his journey, you know, it's never been easy, because I remember when I first saw him interviewing people backstage and interviewing Dana White, it took many years, over 10, you know, many years. And he was this weedy, skinny guy, quite annoying looking, got that distinctive nose, asked those questions that no one wanted to ask, those brave questions, got in certain people's faces that needed, you know, to be got into, and really did that journalism job to the T in the sense of professionalism. So he was never bought out by anyone or one-sided journalism, was never been afraid to talk about an issue or talk about something that they're trying to hide, or an up-and-coming event. If he hears news, he'll share it. Again, that's his job. He's a journalist, and there's no one better than Ariel Helwani for me in the MMA. And I first watching his the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, again, many years ago. And sorry guys, and just like Joe Rogan, I don't think there's anyone that he hasn't spoken to in the MMA business, from a fighter to coaches to management team to promoters. So from UFC promotion to One Championship to Bellator, I don't think there's anyone that he hasn't spoken to. So if you do get a chance, guys, you know, check out Ariel Helwani. He now does the DC and Helwani show, which is every Mondays, which I get my subscription, so I'll get my notification and I'll watch it every single Monday. And you know, there's many more things that have come his way through all the struggles that he's been through. So someone to watch out for, someone to check up. Yeah, if you do have an interest in MMA, you should know about him anyway. If you haven't, guys, do check him out, because it's his personality as well that kind of does sell it for me too. And you know, humble family guy, you know, a good father, good husband from what you see, what he portrays, good son, because he's always talking about his mum and his parents and family, and a role model. So what more can you ask for in terms of when you want inspiration from someone and someone's an influence? So that's my number 2 guy. Now my third guy is a bit of a beast, so I do apologise in advance. He's a complete savage, and his podcasts are savage. I've used that word about 4 times, because if you have heard of him, or you will listen or search up some of his stuff on YouTube, Joey Coco Diaz is he's nearly 60 years old now, quite a big guy, quite a deep voice. Guy has no filter whatsoever. Absolute love the dude for this sake. Says it as it is. He's got an unbelievable vile gob in him, but again, in terms of just the swearing, like, this guy just swears, he don't care. I won't call him racist, because obviously, you know, he's Cuban American, but he won't say something in a derogatory way. He just say it as it is. And yeah, he's very infectious. From when I first listened to him on Joe Rogan, again through Joe Rogan, I heard of Joey Coco Diaz, and the first podcast I heard, he was talking about his life experiences and who he was, and spinning from, you know, a Cuban born, he's father passed away when he was young, and his mum passed away when he was in his mid-teens. So he had to move from place to place, went through struggle, had a big issue with drugs and crime. And again, he's open and man enough to admit and talk about everything that has happened in his experiences, and he's channeled it into stand-up comedy, which is again where he smashes it. When you listen to his stand-up shows, he will have you in absolute stitches, and this is all experiences. A lot of people can vouch that one of the things he's talking about is genuinely true and has happened. Like, I'll give you one example. Again, this is his past. He's reformed and moved on from that, but the guy talks about a time where he kidnapped someone. Yeah, he kidnapped someone. My man actually kidnapped someone. It was to do with a drug deal, and they ended up kidnapping someone, and he had someone in his boot, and he got caught for it, and he got yeah. But it's his journey. You know, he's 60 years old now. He's got a young child, because again, for all those times of his drug abuse and alcohol abuse, and you know, living that stand-up comedy life from one place to another, it wasn't an easy life. Living out of his car, having to struggle, getting his big break, you know, and through the stand-up comedy came some acting, where he did The Longest Yard. I had a stint in The Longest Yard, and he was in Spider-Man 2, and you know, he's had a few acting things since, and then he started doing his podcast. Which is the church of Joey Diaz, or the church. I know it as the church. I used to type up the church, and it used to come up straight away. And yeah, he's such an infectious guy, and you got to go past the vile language and the mouth on the guy. But from what he's been through to what's humbled him up now, and where he's at with his family, with his child, the sacrifice, moving from where he was to try and give a better life for his family, using the platforms that he's had to make a change. So if you do get a chance, guys, Joey Coco Diaz. So these three, Joe Rogan, Ariel Helwani, Joey Coco Diaz, just a small example of some of the influences in my life and people I've listened to. Because again, the things with podcasts, I get you guys are busy, and I get the same, you know, even with my podcast right now, you guys might be busy to sit down and actually watch. But the best thing about podcasts are that they don't need to be watched, guys. They need to be listened, and that's all it is. You need to just listen to it, and you can be walking to work, you can be walking in the park. I tend to sometimes listen to podcasts when I'm training. So I do like music, but sometimes I like a good podcast, something interesting, because again, it's just something in my mind else that's going on while I'm training. I have sleeping problems, so sometimes I can't sleep at night, so I'll put on a podcast. And through these podcasts, it's opened up other podcasts or podcasters or subjects that I've wanted to explore. And yeah, no, I can't recommend it enough, guys. And the fact, like I said from the start, it was so... The first thing that stopped me wanting to do it was, how am I going to do it? People are going to make fun. I'm not a Joe Rogan, I'm not an Ariel Helwani, but actually what's stopping me? What's stopping me from speaking? Firstly, I'm not trying to be like anyone else. I can take things that other people do, which I admire. It's not a matter of copying. It's the direction. I can take direction from these people, and they're massive influences in my life, in terms of also what I'm doing right now. So guys, if you do get a chance, please check them out. It's Okay with Jay. That's all from me today. Please give me some feedback, guys. Make sure you've checked them out, and then you give me some comments on what you think, or who you think was some of the funniest guys that they've spoken to. That's all from me. Peace out, guys. I'll speak to you soon.